Hey everybody, welcome to what I hope to be is a new weekly series that we're going to host right here on the channel. I feel like lately that the internet is always just a little too fast-paced for me to keep up. And while I do enjoy making commentary videos, not gonna lie guys, it's hard to keep up with how fast the news is going. So I decided to come up with something a little different. Maybe not so different in terms of concept, but different enough to where it'll at least work with my schedule right now, because let's be honest, I can really only post about one commentary video a week. So I thought it'd be best to just compile everything that's relevant, everything that's on our minds, every questions that we have, and talk about it all in one video. So with that, welcome to the first episode of the weekly sit down with Yugi 601, where we discuss whatever's on our minds, with the main focus obviously being gaming, entertainment, and everything in between. Also, we may have guests invited to the show to kind of spice things up, so I've already got a couple lined up that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. And with that, expect us to discuss relevant topics, answer any questions you may have, and literally talk about whatever we want. Honestly, nothing's really off limits. While we focus on gaming and media, it doesn't have to be just that. Pretty much down to talk about anything, obviously, besides, terms of service, obviously. However, some of you may take an inch and somehow make it into a mile, so disclaimer, I'm not looking to just talk out of my rear end and start shooting hot takes, right? Again, I'm open to talk about pretty much most things, but we should do it with some tact and some respect, of course. Not looking to just spur stuff out of my rear end. Anyway, I figured this also be a good way to get what's on my mind out there and kind of update on certain situations that we've previously talked about. And speaking of which, our first topic right now of the sit down we're going to talk about is our UltraDeath interview. It looks like it really went great. And relatively speaking, at least in terms of my channel, it was actually one of the highest viewed on my channel so far. Got a decent amount of views, I think over 400 so far. I think it was great. I think he was very cooperative, very excited to work with me, so that helped. Him not talking, I wanted to accommodate for that anyway. Again, I'm not looking for a reason or an excuse, but I think somebody with his type of mentality and his work ethic, I just had to, one way or another. So special shout out to him for actually having the cojones to coming onto the interview and putting himself out there, I think in his situation to where he's not speaking as much, at least not verbally, it may be hard to communicate or convey a point over text. So being able to get to know him on a deeper level was really cool. And I think so far, I think he really appreciated it too. I thought it was awesome. The comment engagement was great. And we even had some suggestions for some more interviews. Some have said yes, some have said no. But guys, if you're going to suggest someone for an interview, let's actually make sure that it's someone who's willing to do it. Seems like some people may get cold feet or they're nervous, and it's completely understandable. But, if they work with me, I'll work with you. UltraDeath was very, very cooperative, very forthcoming, and made it very clear that it was something he was down to do. So if that person that wants to get interviewed is down to show me that same level of effort, we'll make it happen. And continuing the recap of some of our videos, let's continue on with the Sneako and Moist situation. I talked about how they had a little bit of irresponsibility flashing guns, and their behavior wasn't exactly up to par to what I think was a responsible gun owner. But it looks like both of them actually made up. They had a decently long conversation that Moist actually recorded and put up in his channel. I didn't see the whole thing, but I think the point was pretty much conveyed from the very beginning that it seems like they made some type of amends. I don't think they fundamentally agree on a lot of things, but it's a good thing that at least both of them made amends. Both of them, I guess, made their clout, right? They baited me too into talking about it, but I'm happy to see that out of a great sense of maturity, it seems like Sneako actually fessed up and apologized. Was not expecting him to do that. Kudos to him. Again, I think it's safe to say he's somewhat of a troll. I mean, the dude's be saying some wild stuff lately. Kind of hard to take him seriously, but who am I to judge? Again, I'm just happy that there was some type of amends and it didn't get escalated further. I still think he needs to be smarter with his gun ownership. However, when it comes to that, it doesn't really seem to be much tension between the two. And if they want to talk or hash things out, looks like that'll be on the table in the future. So that's good to hear. Lastly, in terms of the content and the commentary that we talked about, the MrBeast situation looks like it's never ending. Looks like no matter what he does, he's going to get hate. I missed it, but apparently a lot of people were very upset about him gifting a waitress a car. Apparently it had the MrBeast logo and people were mad that it had it on there. Even though me personally, hey, if you want to give me your car with a MrBeast logo, I'll turn around and sell that sucker for about 10 more cars, to be honest with you. But hey, I don't get these people. It really seems like we're just feeding the trolls at this point. It's abundantly clear that these people are going to hate no matter what. So I think it's just best to not give it attention, move on from this, because I'm not even sure if it's a very small amount of people just having a very loud voice. So is it even worth the attention? Probably not, guys. I think he does a lot of good. Not saying the guy's perfect. Again, I'm sure he has his issues, but to sit here and make a big deal out of something so minor, some guy who's complaining who probably doesn't even do anything for themselves or the world, it's best to move on, guys. Especially when it comes to highlighting people who are upset about something that someone's doing that is objectively good. I don't even think I have the energy for it. Like, how do you have so much energy to be mad at good things? I don't get it. So that's the recap of the commentary videos. I appreciate all the likes and support you guys gave on that videos. If you got any more to add to that situation, by all means, leave it in the comments of this video here below. Now we're going to move on from that. Like I said, haters are exhausting. So let's talk about something a little more exciting. And that's movies and TV shows. Gonna get into some spoiler territory for both of these, but I gotta get these off my chest. We'll talk about John Wick Chapter 4 first, since that's the more relevant movie. Like I said, huge spoiler warning. I would skip ahead to the next part if you'd like, or to the end after we talk about these two shows. Huge spoiler alert one more time. So John Wick Chapter 4, what do I think? To be honest with you guys, it felt like a repeat. I hate saying that. I hate to say that I'm not impressed. I think maybe my expectations were a little bit higher than they should have been, but it just felt like Chapter 3 all over again, but with just different people and different situations. I know in the third one, there was a huge bounty put out on him. He had all the assassins chasing him, just like in this one. On the last movie, John Wick Chapter 3, there was a person who was good with dogs. That's in this one. The action was on point, guys, don't get me wrong, but the story, it felt kind of lackluster, felt kind of lazy. I guess if you go to John Wick movies, you're not there for the story. Some of us appreciated it though, myself included, so could they have done things a lot differently? I think so. All in all, it's a decent flick. For those of you who haven't seen it, there's a pretty cool action sequence with the shotgun, and they're using dragon's breath rounds in the shotgun. And that left quite an impression on my wife. She didn't know that such rounds existed. She said that looks nuts, and I was like, oh no, it's a real thing. And it does look that crazy. So they definitely did the Dragon's Breath rounds justice. And I love the camera angle work they did. They almost made it look like Hotline Miami. That was really satisfying. So W scenes for sure. Story not so good. I feel like, again, it was on repeat. The ending, could have been better. All in all, I'm not going to lie, guys. I hate to say it, but if I were to give it a rating out of 5, I'd probably give it like a 2.5. The only thing carrying it to me, again, is the action sequences. The story just really brought it down for me. Wasn't really hooked. Didn't really get me engaged. The acting, just, I don't know. Something was just off about this one. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I feel like I'm just watching 3 all over again. So that's my take on it. You can agree to disagree. It's definitely not a bad movie in any sense, but I don't think it's the strongest in the series. I think 1 through 3 is almost like a perfect storm. I was expecting a lot more. I can get into it more, but we'll be here all day. But I did expect more from Lawrence Fishburne's character, his group of people. I expected a lot more from the finale of it. I didn't expect to see a repeat of someone using dogs just like Halle Berry did in the last movie. That was kind of repetitive. And if anything, I would say Donnie Yen's character is the one who really carried the movie. He made it fun, interesting, and actually added a little bit more than what we'd expect from a John Wick movie. So I would say he was the one that single-handedly carried the movie, to be honest with you, outside of course, Keanu Reeves. His character definitely left me wanting more out of him. Everyone else, though, I don't know, man. It just felt like wasted potential. I'm nitpicking here, but hey, if you want to turn your brain off and you just want to watch people get wrecked, it's the movie for you. But if you're looking for a conclusive finale to the John Wick storyline, I wouldn't recommend it. So that's my thoughts on John Wick Chapter 4. Moving on to The Last of Us, the TV HBO series. Guys, I didn't get to really talk about this, even though the finale's been now out for quite some time. Now we finally get the chance to talk about it because it's been on my mind. I wanted to almost make a dedicated video of it, but again, due to lack of time, I haven't been able to do so. So what do I think? Here's my thoughts. First off, I just want to say, and I want to start this on a good note, because again, I'm going to be nitpicky on this one. I think it's just objectively a fact at this point that The Last of Us HBO series is probably the best video game adaptation we've ever seen or will probably ever get. The fact that the original director of the game was involved with it really held on to the integrity of what the story is. And don't get me wrong, the storyline hits every note that the game does as well. It does it damn near to a T, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very happy for that because, again, folks who may not have even thought or considered the idea of playing the game actually bought the game after watching the show and followed along with it. I know a lot of people that did that. I know the sales numbers of part 1 on PS5 skyrocketed after the series dropped, which is awesome. Happy to hear that for him. I'm glad that it worked out for him. Best video game adaptation series out there. I highly recommend you go check it out, especially if you're into that genre of TV shows, the whole zombie survival thing. If you like Walking Dead, you might like this. However, I have my criticisms. While nitpicky, stood out enough for me to make a video, aka, or talk about it here on this weekly sit down. So here's what I think. It's really, really good. What I really think that this show does a disservice on is showing the caliber of fighter that Joel is overall. For a lot of us that played the game, you know, this man, Joel, is a bona fide, certified, professional killer. He can kill, he can fight, and he can do it very, very well. And that's what got him to survive for so long. He's ruthless, he's efficient, and he's borderline scary. And Ellie sees this all throughout the game. After you pick her up and she's with you, she's witnessing you dropping numerous people in very efficient and numerous ways. And with all that being said, I think if they added just a little more action and they really showed how capable Joel really was, I think the scene where they have an argument together and she says, "If don't leave me because I'll just be afraid. Everyone else has died except for you." I'm paraphrasing here, but in the TV series, that wasn't really sold to me in the way that the game series was. When you get that argument scene in the video game, you've already been maybe 15, 20-ish hours in, depending on how slow you play. I play very slow, so it's probably about 20 something hours in, to be honest with you. Also, it depends on your difficulty, which I typically play on the harder difficulties. If you guys haven't known already, you'll quickly understand it if you're watching today's stream that's going to be posted. But again, you've already fought in so many people efficiently in different ways, in different tactical ways, brutal ways, right? You hear Ellie react numerous times when you use the shotgun, like, "Whoa, Joel, what the heck?" You know, it just didn't really feel authentic in the show. It felt rushed. It didn't feel very earned. Now, I know he showed off some skills in the HBO series. I understand that we had the sniper scene and a couple others, and then obviously the finale, but it wasn't just emphasized as much as I think it should have been. They didn't really do a service to Joel. You know, he's like, he has problems hearing. He's like getting older, so he has like these chest pains now, which I don't know if it's anxiety or if he just has like a physical condition. When he finally did get the chokehold on someone, which, by the way, you choke a lot of people in the game, but when he finally did in the show, he got stabbed. Like, it just didn't feel earned. I think that's my only complaint of the show, to be honest with you, despite everything else. You know, I can sit here and nitpick every single thing, but if I had to pick the one thing I think should have been highlighted more, was Joel's capacity for violence. He's efficient, he's brutal, and that's why Ellie feels safe around him. She says it in the game. "Everyone around me has either died or left or turned except for you." And that was 100% true. And it hit a lot different because you're the one controlling Joel. You're the one making these actions. So to hear, you know, what's essentially your partner tell you this, it hits different. You know, it's almost like you feel appreciated in that moment. I just feel like the HBO series didn't really deliver that the way it should. That's just one plot point. Again, I can go on forever. I feel like a lot of characters weren't really themselves. I didn't really think Billy was himself. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't know who that was. You know, the Billy I know really was a stickler for things, very hyper paranoid, very cautious of everything, very upset, for example, that Joel destroyed all his traps and is making a mess out of things and is essentially calling a mess to the order that he created, that he spent so much time doing. And they almost touched on it in the show when him and his partner get into a heated argument right outside of the home, and they're discussing how living conditions should be, talking about how hyper vigilant he wants to be, and that Frank is explaining to him that he doesn't need to be so cautious all the time, that he can relax and enjoy life. And right there, I thought that would be the breakup. I thought that would be where their ideologies would differ, but that just didn't happen. And Bill kind of, like, for lack of a better term, submits his ego and just lets Frank do what he wants. And again, in the video game, that was abundantly clear that he was not down for that. It was either Bill's way or the highway. I feel like if they showed that in the show, it would have gave justice to Bill's character, but I understand they were going for a different idea and a different way of telling his story, maybe a different side of Bill that they felt like they couldn't deliver in the game. Again, I'm sure when you make a game, you need to focus on gameplay. When you make a story, you want to focus on story. But again, like, we really didn't get to see what Bill is capable of, you know, like Bill again saves your life in the game. He's very capable. So it just felt like, again, like a lot of action and seeing the characters to their fullest potential. It was sacrificed for just getting the story through, getting the plot points done, and ending the series. So I don't know. That's my critiques. I don't think it's the worst show in the world, and I certainly don't think it's the best. Could it have been better? Yes. But again, I'm being nitpicky as a fan of the series. I've beaten both games multiple times, platinumed to both, on the hardest difficulty, played them multiple times. Like I said, I speak this out of love of the series. I'm not saying I'm a hater of it at all. So if I had to give it out of 5, I'd give it a solid 3. Borderline 4, but had they add the action, I'd put it damn near perfect. I think nothing else is wrong with it. I think it's authentic to the series. I think it's very accurate to what the game represents. The ending, again, felt rushed, but I understand that in that type of environment, things are a little different compared to making a video game. So I'm trying to be as generous as I possibly can. I don't think it's bad by any means. Again, just a little, turn up the action just a little bit, guys. I don't know why you're so afraid. Look at John Wick. The action carries the movie more than anything else. I think someone told me, I don't know if it's true or not, but someone said that apparently, like, in a TV show, they were hesitant to put more action in. And I'm like, but why? Like, everyone remembers certain action scenes in certain TV shows and movies. Again, going back to John Wick, how can everyone not forget the scene between Wick and Sharon going back, getting the better shotguns, and then taking out all those elite soldiers? I'm trying to keep it vague to keep it spoiler free, but that to me is imprinted into my brain. And that scene was damn near just action, but the facial expressions and the frustration that they had dealing with those guys, it just really sent the message home. I think you can do a lot with violence if you do it well. In this, it just felt almost like they had to put it in, but they didn't want to. It's weird. So that's my thoughts on The Last of Us. If you made it this far, guys, I appreciate you listening to me ramble. This is quite enjoyable, and I'm glad to continue to do it if you enjoy, so please let me know. The only last thing I'm going to close out with is just, I wanted to make it abundantly clear. Our opinions, thoughts, convictions can all be shared here with an open heart. You know, I feel like, especially in America, where there's already enough division in this country, it's a lot different than what I saw growing up. It's a shame that I have to say this, but it feels like we're more divided than ever. You know, to give you a little background on myself, I grew up very multicultural. So I had all different types of races I grew up around. I'm glad I hung out with so many different types of people, and it wasn't an isolated situation where I was mainly around my own race. I'm Hispanic, by the way. So I want to make it abundantly clear that even though you may not feel it anywhere else, while I'm not perfect myself, I'm going to try to make this place a more unified community, because I've got people from all different types of races here, all different types of parts of the world, and I love to see you all here. I appreciate that we can all connect on a mutual interest, mutual appreciation for things like media, gaming, things like that. Fall Guys, goofiest game ever, but I'm glad you're here, and I appreciate you. And I hope that we can continue together in different ways, whether we agree or disagree on certain topics. We can always end the day and have some fun, have some friendly banters, have some laughs, and just appreciate each other's company, because again, you guys could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and I do appreciate that. So let's bridge that divide that everyone seems to wanting to be wedging in between us, and I'm gonna loosen it and keep us together, because that's the way I grew up. I grew up again around all different types of people, and I would like to see it continue that way, as delusional as I may sound. So that's it for my soapbox. Like I said, guys, feel free to leave any input on what you thought about this. It's my first time doing something like this, but hopefully not my last. Look forward to seeing you hopefully today for the Resident Evil 4 challenge live stream I'm doing with Super Rocker. Pretty fun stuff. Man, that game's got to be goated, I'm telling you. If you want to ask me any questions about anything at all, whatever's on your mind, if you'd like me or maybe my wife to have some input, if you'd like to see her on the show, if you'd like to see anyone else on the show, please let me know. Like I said, this is an open conversation, but obviously with respect and tact for everyone. I am a huge proponent of speaking on whatever's on your mind, as long as you do it with tact and respect, guys. Just remember that we're all created in God's image, and we're all loved and respected in the eyes of God. So that's it for me. Hope you have a good rest of your day, whatever you're doing, whether you're listening to this from home or on your way to work, away from school, on your way to the gym, at the gym. I hope you're all right. Hope you're doing okay. And like I said, anything on your mind, let us know in the comments. In the meantime, this is it for the weekly sit down, episode 1. You guys take care.